Okay. Today, my name is Morph from the Classical Astrologers Guild, and I am going to be talking about the zodiac and deacons and bounds. So, I think a very important place to begin is knowing the Chaldean order of the planets. And this is them from Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Sun, Venus, Mercury, and the Moon, going from slowest to fastest. And this is the descending Chaldean order. You could have the ascending Chaldean order by saying Moon, Mercury, Venus, Sun, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. And so the speed of the planets seems to be a fundamental notion for us in astrology. And also, through this schematic, we also get our superior and inferior planets. So on the left-hand side of the Sun are our superior planets of Saturn, Jupiter, and Mars. And on the right-hand side of the Sun, our inferior planets, Venus, Mercury, and Moon. And this, of course, is symbolized that these planets are inside of the Earth and the Sun, or outside of the Earth. And one of the oldest things that we have is the deacons. And the deacons is made up of the Chaldean order of the planets. So one thing I want to start off with is every dude and their dog will tell you you start at 0 degrees of Aries and you go from Mars to Mars. And so you can see that point up there at 0 degrees of Aries. The first decan is Mars. It goes in descending Chaldean order: Sun, Venus, Mercury, Moon, Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Sun, and so forth. And ends up at 0 degrees of Aries again. Therefore completing the 36 decans. So that's the 360 degrees split into 10-degree sections to give us 36 sections, and they each have a planetary ruler which is designed by the Chaldean order of the planets. Now, I've always had a problem with this because although 0 degrees Aries is a very important point, it's where the ecliptic meets the horizon, and it's always befuddled me. Why start with Mars? Of course, there's an argument out there that well, Mars is the domicile lord of Aries, and therefore you start with him. I think that's absolute crap. In fact, it would make more sense to start at 0 degrees of Leo and go to 0 degrees of Aries, because then you have the descending Chaldean order starting with Saturn at a natural sign cusp, and you can take Saturn descending order to 0 degrees Aries, and likewise from that 0 degrees Leo point, you go backwards and take the Moon in ascending Chaldean order to 0 degrees of Aries. That way, you end up having a more, well, it makes a lot more sense. Because you've got a natural starting point, and in this system of decans there's no good natural starting point. I don't like that 0 degrees Aries. It doesn't make sense to me. So this at least, using the 0 degrees of Leo, supplies a little bit better um, wholesome explanation. Now, one of the things that I wanted to talk about is how we came to get the days of the week. So it turns out that the days of the week are determined by the first decan, um, and starting from Virgo. So the first decan of Virgo is the sun. The first decan of Libra is the moon. First decan of Scorpio is Mars. First decan of Sagittarius is Mercury. First decan of Capricorn is Jupiter. First decan of Aquarius is Venus. And the first decan of Pisces is Saturn. And that gave us our Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Now, it so happens that after starting at Virgo and ending at Pisces, the remaining first decans of the signs that we have not used, it was Mars for Aries, Mercury for Taurus, Jupiter for Gemini, Venus for Cancer, and Saturn for Leo. In that schematic, we have, we have the leftover days of the week without the luminaries, if you will. So it's that you could have a Tuesday starting at, in Aries there, a Tuesday, a Wednesday in Taurus, a Thursday in Gemini, a Friday in Cancer, and a Saturday in Leo. You can make this schematic only once. You can get the days of the week out by following that same principle, starting with the sun as well in the second bound in Aries. It then goes from Aries to Libra, but the leftover schematic changes. And likewise, the third decan of Gemini, you could make it to Sagittarius, but that leftover dynamic changes again. So the Virgo to Pisces one leaves us with this, the concurrent days without the luminaries. So let's have a look at our days of the week. Here is the order of the days of the week that we just found in the decans. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then the remaining 5 were Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, Saturn, to fill out the rest of the first decans. So 7 and 5 make 12, obviously, that fills that out. So the days of the week is derived from the decans. Next, we can make planetary hours. Now that we have our days of the week schematic and our Chaldean order of planets, we can make planetary hours. And you'll see up the top here, our days of the week: Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and it goes in a lovely order of descending Chaldean order once again. Even so, you skip through, the daytime hours of Sunday, and then fall into the nighttime hours of Sunday, which then go into the daytime hours of Monday, and it makes a lovely schematic the entire way through, so that it is just one big repeatable scheme. But I want to talk about the Egyptian bounds. And here are our leftover planets from the schema of the deacons. Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, Saturn. So let's have a quick look at a traditional diagram of the bounds and deacons. You'll see, like I was saying before, in the small deacons box over there, every dude and their dog will tell you that you start with Mars in Aries and go till Mars in Pisces, and I disagree with that. Again, this Egyptian bounds diagram is set up to use Aries as the first sign. But we don't really know how the Egyptian bounds were formed. And I want to shed a little light on that. So, for the Egyptian bounds, you need to know the domiciles of the planets, listed here, the exaltations of the planets, listed here, and the triplicity lords. So, I want to start from scratch and show you how to make the Egyptian bounds. I have used the ascending Chaldean order, so fastest to slowest. And because in the Egyptian bounds there is no luminaries, Mercury is the next fastest. So I will start with Mercury. And I will put Mercury in Gemini. So Mercury chooses Gemini, chooses Virgo, and then takes a trine to each of these by choosing Capricorn and by choosing Aquarius. So we're just choosing the first bound throughout the zodiac. Next in the order of planets is Venus, and after Aquarius, next in the order of signs is Pisces. So, as Venus is exalted in Pisces, she chooses Pisces, and then she chooses her domicile lord, her domicile of Taurus. Next in the order of signs would be Gemini, but we've already chosen that with Mercury, so the next is Cancer. Mars chooses the first bound of Cancer, as he is the primary triplicity lord of water. Then he also chooses his domicile of Scorpio. Next in the order of signs, and that also, through Mercury, Venus, and Mars, we have now chosen all of the feminine signs. But next in the order of signs is Sagittarius, and next in the order of planets is Jupiter. And Jupiter chooses Sagittarius and Aries and Leo, as he is the primary triplicity lord of fire, and the domicile lord of Sagittarius, obviously. And as we know, Virgo is already taken. There's only one sign left, which is Libra, and in the next order of planets is Saturn, and Saturn takes Libra. So we've now chosen the first bound in each sign by just going in zodiacal order, using domiciles, exaltations, and triplicities. And then there's a different trick. So from that point in time, we need to make a order of the rest of the bounds. So there seems to be a rule that you can't have a malefic in the second bound, but you must have a malefic in the fifth bound. So once again, here's our little schematic of planets that we have available to play with, and now that we've discovered what the first bound is in a sign, in a 30-degree division, I want to tell you how to remember the sequence of the bounds. So, Taurus, Libra, Capricorn go forward. Virgo, Pisces, and Aquarius go backwards. I'm about to explain how to do this, by the way. Aries and Gemini go forward until Venus. Cancer and Scorpio go backward until Venus. Leo goes forward until Saturn. And Sagittarius goes forward until Venus and then reverses at Saturn. So what I want you to note actually is that there's 3 signs that go forward, 3 signs that go backwards, 2 signs that go forward until Venus, 2 signs that go backwards until Venus, 1 sign that goes forward until Saturn, and the remaining sign does a weird thing and goes forward until Venus and then reverses at Mercury. So let's do this so I can show you what I mean. Now, what gave it away for me was Capricorn. So I started to think about this schematic of the days of the week that we have left over here, and these rules. So here's Capricorn, and Capricorn starts with Mercury, as we already designated just before. Now, going through the days of the week, it goes Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, Saturn, Mars. So I just went forward. Taurus and Libra also do the same. Taurus starts with Venus. You can't use Saturn in the second bound, nor can you use Mars in the second bound. So instead, you use Mercury for the second bound, then goes Jupiter, then goes Saturn, then goes Mars. So you can see that we're cycling forward through the entire time. Now the same here with Libra. It starts with Saturn. Next naturally would be Mars, but you can't have a malefic in the second bound. So it then goes Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, and then back to Mars. So I then I found out that cycling through the leftover planets like that reveals everything. So when I was to do Virgo, for instance, I started with Mercury, and then I again can't choose a malefic in the second bound, which would be Mars. Cycle back, can't choose Saturn because it's still the second bound. I choose Venus, then Jupiter, then Mars, then Saturn. And you'll see that these are the schematics. So let's do Aries. Aries starts with Jupiter. Goes Jupiter, Venus. I've told you it goes forward until Venus. So after it reaches Venus, it goes backwards and chooses Mercury next. Then is still cycling backwards, chooses Mars, and back around to Saturn. The same with Gemini. Mercury starts. We can't choose a malefic for the second bound. Oh, pardon me. I'm not trying to do that. No, I'm going forward till Venus. Sorry. So Mercury goes forward, Jupiter, then Venus. But now we know to reverse once again. And then goes Mars, Saturn. And so then Scorpio and Cancer go backwards. We start with Mars. You can't have a malefic in the second bound, so we skip Saturn. we get to Venus, but then we reverse once again. So then we start cycling forward, we go and we find Mercury, Jupiter, and then our leftover Saturn. So one of the odd things, in fact, in the Egyptian bounds is Mercury and Cancer and Scorpio are the only time where you get the repetition of the same planet and bound. It's the only one that has the same schematic. So Leo again goes forward until Saturn. So Jupiter, Venus, Saturn. It then reverses and chooses Mercury and then Mars. Likewise, here comes Sagittarius, the oddest one. Jupiter, Venus. We don't choose Saturn this time. Oh yeah, because we're reversing, that's right. We get to Venus in a reverse, which then goes back to Mercury, and there is a second reversal, to wit, we choose Saturn and then Mars. So that's definitely the oddest one, that little blip of Sagittarius there. Now, another amazing thing about the Egyptian bounds is if you add up all of the degrees for each planet, you will obtain these numbers. 66 degrees Mars owns in the entire zodiac for Egyptian bounds. Mercury, 76 degrees. Jupiter, 79 degrees. Venus, 82 degrees, and Saturn, 57 degrees. These numbers are the greater years of the planets. So this is a very anomalous thing that is written into the Egyptian bounds, which is really why they are the right ones. So I found that absolutely fascinating and thought that it needed to be expounded upon. But then I fiddled even more. So I drew up this little chart, and I wrote the bounds along the top and made columns and rows. So 5 planets, 5 bounds. And I just noted, like, how many times does Mercury appear in the first bound? 4. How many times does Venus appear in the first bound? 2. Or whatever it is. How many times does Saturn appear in the 5th bound? 7. So I sat there and I looked at this and I was trying to make sense of it all. And then I decided to decimalize these numbers and add them together and see what it came up to. So I added 42,510 to 27,210 to 20,055 to 33,420 to 10,137 and got 133,332. And I was like, oh, yeah, cool. All right, well, that's funny. And then I did it again. Only this time I used the columns. So I added column 1 to column 2 to column 3 to column 4 to column 5 and went from left to right. Not that that mattered. But bizarrely enough, this same number came up. 133,332. So then I did it the other way. And went from, used the rows and went up the columns. So I did 132,224, or, yeah, using, yeah. And likewise, and Added them together, again, 133,332. Super bizarre. And then I did it again, from the bottom right to, this time, 7,300, 101, blah, 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 blah. Again, 133,332. So I started to wonder what this number in fact was doing and why it was so important and why I kept on finding it. Well, I didn't do too much other than start dividing it. And I decided just to divide it in two. And then I got 66,666. And I was like, huh, that's strange. Divided it by 3, by 4, and not by 5, but by 6, because by this time I was thinking, well, I'm just using polygonal aspects. And so I likened it to dividing by 2, the opposition, dividing by 3, the trine, dividing by 4, the square, dividing by 6, the sextile, and of course dividing by 12, the conjunction. So that is my revelation, and is essentially that we have, through knowing the speed of the planets, we've created the days of the week, which in turn have created the Egyptian bounds, which in turn have given us the years of the planets and this strange number. And so there's still mysteries to solve with the Egyptian bound, but my primary thing was that I wanted you to be able to have a system to be able to remember how they go, what the sequence of the bounds is at the drop of a hat. Unfortunately, I have not worked out why degrees have been given to bounds, and believe me, I've tried, but if there are any mathematicians out there that want to give it a go, please do, and please leave comments on the video, and enjoy. I hope this was useful for you. Thank you very much.